So I'm actually in this like light. It's like a purple magenta neon pink colored light, and it's like moving and flowing, and I'm like within the light. Um, and it's very beautiful, and it's almost like my eyes are closed, but I can actually like it's almost like I can see through my eyelids, like the light is that vibrant. But it's a beautiful, like I'm connected with the light right now.
You want to stay a little bit more in this light?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's very wavy and flowy and nice.
Do you know any significance of the light or the purpose?
They're saying like the light has the codes that can give us the information that we want to explore today.
Okay, and then let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
And can I know who we are talking with right now?
This is the higher self that is of Carrie, that's answering questions right now.
Okay, and because we had a conversation before, is there anything that wants to be said right now before we start asking questions, or should I just start?
Yeah, you can start.
Okay, so the first question would be, it seems that the last week has been a very intense period for a lot of people. Can we gain more insight around it?
Yes, so like what we brought Carrie to in the beginning, that new light that was she's never seen before, the light that's coming down through all of your experiences and through your bodies is a new like a new higher vibration. Like it's like a new light that you guys aren't used to, and it's activating you in like the movement and the waves that it's a part of. It's carrying like what she's where she's at right now, gaining those codes and that information. The light that's experienced is going through all of your cells and all of your bodies and your energetic fields, and it's activating you all. But it's an uncomfortable thing because it's like a deep penetrating like UV light. Like it's getting into all those crevices that we weren't able to before. Like it reminds Carrie, like she's seeing like the new trends with like skincare and how all those things have now like the red light, UV lights and stuff that are used for healing and for or regeneration. Like because those are more effective because they're more of a deep penetrating light, and that's the light that you guys are in right now, and that's the codes that are here right now. And that means that anything that's kind of like you've worked on your inner work for years, you've done all of that, and now like it's penetrating deep within the cells to unveil anything that needs to be shown to you that you haven't worked through and that you haven't alchemized and released.
I'm curious, does this slide has a name specifically, or is it like a new one? Because there were like different um rays. Is it the same thing as, as like have like a violet flame or um um a golden light or um the emerald light? Is this like something new that is coming on Earth or
It's a new, so your eyes haven't been upgraded to see this light. It's like a ever flowing, like it's on the pink and magenta spectrums, but it's more of a broad spectrum, like light within the pink and magentas that it's entering. And so it's very like it's very, very like animated, the light in the like uh neon. So it's more like you guys haven't experienced that like neon light. it's not like a flat light, like, you know, the colors that you experience here on Earth, they're
Mhm.
more of a flat in color. These are an illuminated of every spectrum. So your eyes aren't upgraded to see these lights within the Earth now. And it's more of a high vibration. What you will see in the 5D, your eyes will upgrade and you'll be seeing all those spectrums of colors that we're infusing within you now.
And is there any way we can work with it, or we just like this is happening anyways, regardless?
This is happening anyways, regardless. You can set the intention to work with it. But be prepared that when you do, it's going to bring to the surface some of those deeper inner work things that you need to look at. So, you know, you may want to take it in stages because there's like it's just like it's getting it's deep cleaning, if you will. It's deep illuminating. It's getting you ready for that final push.
And is there a timeline for it, or will this go on for months and is there something else coming, or what do you mean by final push?
So what we're saying is that there's a crossroad that humanity's at of what they're going left or right. And that final push will push into the canal of whatever decision, like whatever place you decide. So if you decide you don't want to do your inner work, and you know, and it's not in your life contract to ascend right now during this timeline, then what happens is, like, okay, you're pushed there and you're left to experience those things that you want to master and experience. But you also can turn right where it's to the fifth dimension, where if you're in that canal, birthing canal, then it's like that final push for that. So we're just like illuminating everything to the collective and letting them see so that they can make a decision of which birthing canal they want to be in.
Mm. And like personally, for me has been really tough, and it's really hard to, want to turn right or just go on in this world. Is there any advice around like how one can do the inner work, or how can navigate this really tough period, or whatever comes up?
Yes. So we say this, and with there's no judgment in the words that we use, but we use them to help you understand. And so great beings and great accomplishments don't come without great trials and tribulations. And so it's like, you know, when you come and have a life contract, to have what you would assume in humanity would be an easy, like non-bumpy life, that makes for just, you know, that's your role to hold that vibration. But when you take on these life contracts to have a lot of experiences filled with density, filled with the pyramid of emotions, that it's because you're that great and you have that much more of a life purpose that you wanted to experience during this lifetime. And so we want to just remind you of the greatness that you hold and the greatness that you have. And there is a purpose for it. Once you move through this, you'll have great understanding to be at a better capacity to hold space for others, to help them share their stories and help them along their way. So there's a great purpose for it all for you. And you just need to keep reminding yourself of that great purpose, but also realize that you have to let this prismatic energy and this prismatic light that we're infusing show you what you need to work through during this time. And so it's not meant to hold you down. It's meant to illuminate so that you understand and can ask the questions of, like, what is this triggering, and ask the question to lead to the root of it, and what you feel and resonates with you that you need to do to move forward.
Oh, okay. a lot of information and makes sense.
Yeah.
And another thing was like sometimes it's not that clear, or maybe there's still a lot of work to do, or a big ego, or a very chattery mind. Is there any way, tools, methods of trying of going through this, or getting more insight and understanding clearly what's the root of the issue and how to work with it?
Yes, so we're saying that look within the self and look at the grief and the anger that you're holding on to. And like we're showing Carrie, like you like going out and screaming, like just releasing that feeling that you're having can help you tremendously as far as like releasing it and acknowledging it and saying like, it's not, we don't want people to squirm from their feelings. Like, so many people are like, oh, I see you, acknowledge in love and light. Like, when you know you're at a true place of neutrality with the feeling and acceptance and flow with the feeling is when you can sit in it and be like, okay, I see you. Okay, like it's a friend sitting next to you in the room. Like I see you, and that's a good telltale sign of that you're at a good place with it. It's not that you're trying to run with it. It's just that you're in acceptance of flow of like, it's okay that I have these feelings. It's okay that they're showing up. It's okay. And when you can sit in the room with your enemy kind of thing, and have a conversation with them and just be okay with who you are and that they're in the same room as you, is when you're at a great place. So what we say is whatever you're feeling, like don't question it, don't overthink it, like just be okay with it being there and know that like the more you resist it, the more it'll show itself to you. But if you just sit in the room and be like, hey buddy, like you've got no power over me, I see you, I acknowledge you, I honor the fact that you are here to teach me a lesson, then like that lesson's like, well, that's no fun, and it like leaves because it's like, okay, I guess I did my job. Like, all right, I'll just go. Like, it's almost like an antagonistic teacher in the fact that, like, the more you resist it, is the more like it's like, oh, good, like, game on, buddy. Like, I'm going to keep showing myself to you until you're just like, you just ignore it. So, whatever for you when you're doing things like is helping you to really to be in that state is what we suggest.
Okay. And I know it's still very popular in this period, and a lot of people are talking about somehow trying to control the feelings and emotions by meditating or mantra or trying to change the frequency. How much would you recommend doing that, and how much you wouldn't? Because basically what's okay, I have these like nasty feelings, I'm not processing them, I'm not sitting with them, I'll try to think that everything is good. And does this work? Like somehow, because we're talking about energy and that we're creators, and whatever is inside is projected on the outside. So then is it is it worth at all trying to spend time in, let's say, dreaming another life, another world, or just sitting with wherever is present in the moment without trying to change it or control it?
Yeah, so it's not about changing, controlling, and it's about alignment and flow. Changing and controlling is a forced action, and that resistance and that force actually invites that experience in even more. It's like that what we were saying, the antagonistic thing. Like it's almost like you're trying to change it. No, are you like look at it for more of an empowering thing, like meditation? Are you trying to do it to envision enforce the life you want? Are you trying to envision the life in alignment with your soul of what you want to align to, like get those energies to align to and to naturally attract? Like one is very forceful and one is very like magnetic and flowy, like with the energies. And it's about, the whole thing with meditation is about like just sitting and allowing and flowing. And when you are manifesting or creating that visualization within your mind's eye or within like the neutrality of that space of meditation, you have to do it without expectation, because the expectation that it's like that forced. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
do it and release it and allow it to magnetically come to you. And so when you're meditating, it's just about quieting all those outside forces, and just imagine all of your chakras when you're meditating. Just imagine within your breath, like each breath, that you're kind of like illuminating and creating that circuitry path of like the chakras, of like letting the flow of like of the sun come in through your crown, and you're going to like run it down your body. You're going to like through your root, through your feet, create these beautiful little tree trunks, put them down into the core of the earth and ground with the earth, and imagine that energy like recirculating back up into you, and imagine that flow. And when you're doing that with meditation, you're in your flow, you're going to start to feel that everything's going to vibrate and to circulate at a higher frequency, which will naturally align you with a higher frequency, and the outcome that you naturally want is in alignment with you. And it's not force, it's flow.
Thank you. And how do we align with our soul's will?
So when you're naturally like when you're in alignment with all, like what we just explained,
Yeah.
your soul's will, your crown will be open to receive that information, and you'll be like, when you're meditating, is that quiet space to be able to set the intention with your will of what, like, to allow that space for that information to come through in flowing, not force.
So it's that easy.
It's not that easy. And we're saying that like for the time that, like in the here and now, what you're feeling, like what makes you the most happy? Ask yourself that question. What, when you're doing something, do you feel like time passes by quickly? Do you feel like, you just lose yourself in that, like in a happy way? Like what is it that when you think of it and you set that intention, like how do I feel in this, in doing this, like what is that thing for you? And we're saying, if that, what that thing is for you is what you need to follow.
And what if that thing, um, well, um, what if that thing is not related to any ways of earning an existence? And how can we be in this flow sometimes, and also uh also be in this world and thrive at the end, and not struggling with money and bills and all of those things?
If it is in flow with you, that means that it's part of your soul's journey and what you want to experience. Because when you're in alignment with something and within flow and in that high frequency, you are exactly where your will, like your soul's will, what you said, is
Mm-hmm.
aligning with you. So you already saying that it's something that can't make you money is blocking you about money.
Mm-hmm.
You being in alignment with your soul's will is trusting that if you are at your highest vibration, doing the things you love with the intention that it will provide a stable life and stable income, and trusting, you have to then, like you have to release it without expectation and follow it.
I
Because
see.
that block of like about money thing, you're already setting the intention with the universe that you don't trust that you being in alignment with who you are is going to provide a stable outcome for you in the future.
Yeah. So then it's all about mastery of quieting the mind and finding the highest um the highest let's say activity that we can be in, and fol- just following it with a lot of trust. That will be the
Yes.
secret.
Have you made it this far and have you been divinely protected and had your needs met for you? Like,
Personally, I didn't. And personally I am struggling with the outside world and family and friends that always tell me bring me, let's say, bring me out of that. And I cannot control my energy of not believing those things. Meaning it's not possible. You have to have something serious, you have to have something stable. um it has to look in a certain way, or it has to involve a lot of work or a lot of time.
Is that in alignment with your soul? Are you choosing to believe that information? Are you choosing to say, and if that like works for you and that is where you find happiness, then
Mm.
by all means
I
let it be your truth. But is that in alignment with who you are?
Let's say I'm in a bardo situation. I fluctuate. I go into like from flow to struggle and fear, and it feels like it's a circle, a vicious circle of not moving forward with either that or that. Like each time I think about, let's say, a more 3D way of being, my solar plexus and my heart shrink. And then each time I try to do something different, um, I get anxiety and fear.
When you're moving into a place that is in alignment with you, what you want to do, you get anxiety and fear.
Yeah. Or maybe it's not the right thing. Maybe I just don't know.
Have you made the claim and made the decision to be authentic to yourself?
I I did, but I don't think I'm very successful at it so far.
Where Carrie's laughing because they popped up. Well, did you die? They're so wise and funny all at the same time. Okay, so you haven't mastered that you haven't mastered that which you came to Earth to master and to realign with yourself, the ability to move and flow authentically with what's in alignment with you. And so that is something that you're working on right now, is in mastering those ranges of energies. And there's nothing wrong with that, or you don't need to judge it. But what we're saying is, like, okay, so you didn't get it right the first time, and you keep kind of teetering back between these polarities of ways of being. Are you going to live in service to others' ideas of who they feel you are? Or are you going to live to service of self in the capacity of honoring who you are and the contract and what you wanted to experience and what you came here during this time to master? Either way, the cycles will keep repeating themselves until you work through that decision of self or decision of others, and we're not saying in like how you say like to be service of others, like as a a service-based mentality. What we're saying is of their idea of who they are within themselves, and what they're projecting out of what their belief with self is projecting to you, is that they believe that of you to operate. Like, that's their journey. That's their narrative. That's their belief system. And that doesn't necessarily need to align with who you are and what you have chosen to be your belief system. But what we're saying is we are getting the information that you don't feel confident in that choice when you do choose to align with self, and you doubt yourself, and you let that you let that projection of who you think you need to be for them come in the way. And so that is like that forced energy, that blocking energy. And so by you just accepting that you are here for your own set of beliefs, and you're here to align with your life's purpose and your contract, and that nothing else will be what you want to accomplish, like, you have to make that decision. And it's
I
like
see.
when you finally make that decision, that block that you feel like you have, that pathway, that like long tube of energy, like is what we're showing to Carrie, will just like burst open, and all that abundance, that abundance of stability, of trust, of like money, not having to worry about those things, and just like the clients that will be provided to you will just open up.
And is there any advice around how to do that? Because, or just try, or I don't know. Is there like, so basically in you're telling me that I am standing in my own way, in,
Yes.
in a way that somehow I'm not fully aware of.
Yes. And so we're saying when that chatter starts to come in, first of all, to go out and move in nature when that chatter is there is a great thing for you. But also, when that chatter starts to come in, close your eyes, take a deep breath in, imagine like you would, like your heart is breathing, like you do for BQH, like your heart is breathing. Imagine all of those, the alignment within your chakra, and then check with yourself. Is this chatter authentic to who I am? And take that deep breath, aligning with self, and listen to that response. And eventually, after you can start doing that, and eventually after time and time of you doing that, every time that chatter comes in, like, align with yourself, check in with self. Does this align with me? And the more and more you do that, the less and less actually you'll have to do that practice. It'll actually just be that chatter comes in, it triggers to, that's immediately where you go. Does this align with me? You don't even have to do the visualizations. You can have your eyes open, and then you'll get those answers immediately. You'll feel it. You'll feel it within your field. You'll feel it within your energy. So it's just going to be about working with yourself, and working with your higher self, and asking and trusting the answers that are given.
Okay, thank you. And is this something that applies specifically to me, or is this something that other people can learn from it?
Other people can learn from it.
And is there anything, or no, maybe a BQA session that they can do to have a little bit of a boost of confidence? Because sometimes, like, especially um if a lot of things happen, you just forget who you are and what you want. And in my case, having a period where um I I I don't feel I've been connected to myself or done anything that I thought I can do. Um, it's a loss of identity of soul somehow. And yeah, is there anything that can be done to
Yes, so
help?
you haven't lost your identity of soul. What's happened is you've become ungrounded. When life's big events happen, it's easy to become ungrounded. And when you're not grounded with any energies, you lose connection with all of those, like the circuitry and like the chakras and everything. And you kind of lose connection with all of those natural pathways that are here to help guide you and give you the tools you need to navigate Earth. So it's not that you've lost self, it's just your world got shook like an earthquake and you became disconnected with being grounded with who you are. And it's just a matter of it's going to, like, you're going to get there quicker than you actually can. And it's okay. Like, the reason your earth shook is because you were at a place where you had mastered a lot of skills and you were ready to then, like, given a deeper layer of those like earth shattering types of things so that you can master it on a deeper level. And if you look at it at a school of life, like the final exams are always the hardest. Like the small tests that lead up to those exams get you prepared for the final exams. And so it's like once you take that final exam, it's like you graduate. And so that's what we're talking about, this process of like the birthing pathways of where humanity's at, is that there's choices. And that's why it can feel so hard during these times, because you are at a very pivotal crossroad. And so you haven't lost self. But what we're saying is BQH sessions, the reason they're so helpful and people like getting more, like, why they are such a helpful tool for humanity at this time is that people are able to step back and actually answer the questions for themselves and realize they had the answers all along. The
Mm.
answers, that they're able to access those answers anytime they need to. And so it allows them ability to let their mind step back and all that chatter and all that, trying to control the situation, and just going in flow with the information that is provided for them at the time. And it just gives them, then they realize, like, wow, like, Carrie says, like, she doesn't know how many times people will come, when she's done with a session, go like, I can't believe you hypnotized me. Like they're so amazed that their brain could even step back for like a hot second to even receive the information. And so it's just a great tool during this time to, yes, get out of your own damn way.
And speaking of that, another, like, nowadays there's a increasing popularity in other tools or like methods or like psychedelics or ayahuasca. Can you tell us exactly how do they compare, or are they can we actually use BQH instead of that?
BQH works in a different way. The ayahuasca is, what you're doing is you're inviting an intuitive teacher within you. And so the ayahuasca, the medicine, is actually like very intuitive and goes in and kind of like, it kind of was like during driver's training, how like, you know, like you're you're driving, but there's also like another steering wheel in the car that the person who's teaching you has access to, just in case of like, like you're both driving the car, but the ayahuasca is like predominantly the one driving, like, if that makes any sense. Now with BQH, it's like you are like, we're showing Carrie the movie Driving Miss Daisy, like you are the chauffeur and you're the lady being driven in the back of the car at the same time. So it's like it's actually working within self more, and like you're deciding that journey which you want to go with in BQH, and working with your higher self to get those higher perspective. Ayahuasca does a majority of the driving, working with your higher self and with you. So it's a little bit different in how those modalities work. And talk psilocybin the same way, intuitive teachers, right? To your step back in your mind, but they're driving some of that information in co-creation with the higher self and your collectives.
Yeah, thank you. And um I as a little comparison, is it um is there a time when one is more needed than the other, or doesn't matter, maybe it's a soul choice, or if people don't know what to choose, or like, are there any consequences, or I don't know. um something along these lines.
There are no consequences as far as, I mean, everything is cause and effect. Everything that you do has an outcome. But as far as like judgment of consequences, like we're not looking at like there are no consequences. What we're saying is like, are you at a state where you feel empowered enough and feel like you want, like you see that you can get all the answers that you seek within self, and to have that journey within self, like through BQH, or are you at a place that you just totally want to surrender completely and give the driver's wheel away and let that teacher of the medicine work within you? Like what place are you at? Like, do you want to surrender to self, or do you want to surrender to something, that's also a great teacher? There's no judgment, but just, we do say with the BQH, it can be more impactful because it creates that connection. And you realize like you can have that connection not in a BQH session.
Oh, for example, I'm thinking that it seems sometimes that people have very, very, very powerful experiences in ayahuasca. Still, somehow, it's you're allowing another teacher to teach you, I guess, with your higher self. But then that can also, like, will that can help you more in your path, or somehow can help you, but then also create a disconnect between you and your higher self, because now you have somebody else that you're relying on, or is okay.
It only creates a disconnect with higher self that if you have the belief that you have to take that medicine to have those types of deep spiritual um envision, like visions or deep
Yeah.
spiritual awakening. So if you think the only capacity in which you can have those experiences are through that medicine, then you have not deepened the connection with higher self. But if you go in and you realize it's a tool and it's a teacher, but you still have that opportunity in your daily life to have that connection with your team and your higher self, then it's not an issue.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And we are talking a lot about the crossroad where humanity is at now. Can you give us more details about it? For example, I was hearing that is the most important crossroad. Some people were saying that is more important than 2012 awakening wave, or is kind of what the Bible is explaining right now is kind of the apocalyptic view, not in a negative way, but that is that type of crossroads. So can you just shed some light around what's happening right now and what are exactly the choices, or how can we, and some tools around navigating it better?
Yes. So you have like you have a contract in which you come to this life and you want to master and explore. During your lifetime, those contracts, you work with your teams and the angelics and your higher selves, and you can rewrite parts of those contracts depending on your soul's evolution, what it's experiencing. So what we're saying is right now is that powerful of a crossroad that you're experiencing, because right now all souls lead to ascension, all souls lead to this place of higher ascension. Now depending on the timeline in which that experiences is what humanity's at the crossroad to. It's like a once you get into that birthing canal, whether it be the left or the right, once you get to that place, like it's time to push and like things are happening. And so that's where humanity is at and the collectives are at, is that crossroad, because this ascension process is going to move forward at a high trajectory that people are feeling that tug and that real polarity. And that's why that high UV light, like that high neon, beautiful prismatic light that we're sending in right now, is helping to release some of that final stuff so that humanity can make that decision.
And
Like there's two timelines. Like that's
mhm,
the two major timelines that are splitting into. Like you guys are all right now on one timeline. Like the collective is at one time. Like everything, like there's not a lot of times in times within Earth's history that humanity as a collective at this like has been on a major timeline, and the humanity as a collective is on a major timeline. That's why you see so many different depths of range of people even when you go outside. So right now it's like that timeline splitting, and there's two trajectories, and so it's like you've got to make the decision.
Okay, so basically what happened in the last period, we collapsed everything into one big timeline of where everything is coming out, and that's why we have all this chaos inside and outside, and this one is going to be split in two.
Yes.
And do we have any rough estimates along like how it will take to be split in two? And can you describe a little bit one and the other? How will they continue on this earth?
Well, what we're telling you is you're in the final push.
Yeah.
So, like, it's like you're coming and you can already see the splitting ahead of you. And that's why so many feel like they're in like unnavigated waters. Like they feel so uncomfortable in this time because like you can feel like you don't know what's coming next. It's like that, like what's coming next? Because well, this has never happened before with these two timeline splits like this. And so what we're saying that we're at the point where we're putting that deep UV light to penetrate to unveil the last stuff. So if we're going that deep and it's the last stuff, then what we can tell you is that you're at that trajectory of that final place, and it's imminent, it's close. And so as far as time frame goes, that time speeds up and slows down based on the trajectory of the frequency of humanity. And so when we give timelines as far as exact dates or any or trajectories, like it's too hard to do that because we're in a place of quantum where it's 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 hard for us to relate time on humanity's timeline. So but as far as like the stage, you're in final labor. Like that's where you're at.
Do you want to talk now about the good the good outcome of the labor, or will that maybe have another session around that?
I think we should do another session because the Carrie's like getting her crown's getting a little uncomfortable because this is pretty high information with this new energy that she's in. So she's adjusting her frequency because we're having to have her step up to a higher frequency now, to because we're giving her higher information. So she's got to, when she's channeling, like meet in the middle of that higher information. So it's just going to be an adjustment on her body and her crown to be able to be in longer states of channeling with this information.
Plus, it seems that there are a lot of also very a lot of negative scenarios, and I think it would be nice to have some information around what can happen in this ascension process and how the time how one timeline can look like, and that would be
Ab-
nice.
yes, you could do your next session just based on those two things.
Hmm. Um, w- one thing I wanted to talk was a lot of people, and also let's say light workers, and me included, have been struggling a lot with depression and just not adjusting to what is happening on this earth and wanted to leave. And I wanted to know if there are any tools or advice around, how to transmute or change this or work with this, or why is this happening so frequently and so much to some people, and some people not. They don't have that.
Some
Yeah.
people's contracts are here to transmute energies and heavinesses and all those lower frequencies on behalf of the collective. So it's almost like you are taking on the energy of the humanity, and you're then it's going through all your body. And if you're not grounded and you're not kind of in alignment with all of those energy pathways, that it can kind of, in not clearing your energy field, it can kind of stick within your stagnancy of your energy field. And you begin to like question self and feel like, well, this is me. I'm not, but if you clear that energy and set the intention to call in your guides, call in the beautiful golden frequency of love into your energy field to clear out what no longer serves you for your highest good, and to alchemize it to the highest frequency for Gaia. So what is happening, because you've all been on different timelines. So a lot of the collective of the light workers have been here on their own kind of individual timelines, if you will. And so they have interacted with humanity, but not to this great scale. But because of everyone being on the main timeline, so you have the, lower frequencies of that lower timelines are actually on that major chord of the timeline you're on. Now you're integrating it, like you're there with it and with those energies, and you're taking them on, and you've taken on the contract to alchemize those energies to help the timelines. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's not, most likely it's not yours, and it's not serving you.
Is it a collective or also family, or both?
Both.
And
You would actually feel it from family more. Like you'd be doing this, like some of the stuff they didn't do their own inner work and look into themselves for those traumas that or those emotions they wanted to experience. If they didn't do the work and they're carrying around that within their energetic fields, like most likely with family, you're going to be collecting on. It's almost like like an act of love. Like I'll be the what do they call it, the scapegoat, but not in
yeah.
like not in a disempowering way. You're doing it because you're that much of an ascended master, and you just have to reconnect with how to transmute these energies. Like, you've mastered these skills already. You came down here because you were the best of the best, and you were here to help humanity during this very transformational time of decision making. And so of course you would take on your families more than you would think, because you're in their biometric like energy field.
Oh, okay. And somehow, sometimes it feels that we are not we're not doing such a great job as we could or wish. And maybe we would need more clarity around how to do that. Would you have any advice around that?
Stop judging yourself.
Simple.
I mean, you're judging the fact that you're not doing well. You're already judging the experience. That's when you're not sitting with it and being at neutrality with it. Like you got to just that's when you got to say, like, is this judgment purposeful? Connect with yourself. Is this chatter that I'm having, this judgment, purposeful and serving me to our highest capacity? And listen for the answer. And when you get that answer, go like, what can I do to release it? Can you guys assist me to release that judgment? And then see what comes up.
Okay. Um, is there anything else you would like to add or around these timelines and advice around our own intention?
You are so divinely, you yourself and all of the collective and all of humanity and all of existence is so divinely from a place of immense love. And um like what we're showing Carrie is like, source is here just having an experience with self. So if you guys are all source just having experience with itself, interacting with self at different places, like it doesn't seem that hard and complicated from that perspective. It's just that you guys are in the emotions, and you guys have had that veil of forgetfulness put on you, and so you forgot who you are. But the ones that are having what you can say the hardest paths are the ones that are the most wanted in their life contract to have the highest capability of service to self and service to others. And so we just want to remind you, you guys are all powerful. You all are unconditional love. You are all just amazing beings that volunteered to come here during this time to help the evolution of humanity. And that's such a big thing when you give yourself accomplishments and give yourself acknowledgement and give yourself credit for what you signed up for. You can walk more forward in a sense of empowerment and sense of pride versus feeling like so caught in the small details and the emotions of life. Just remind yourself of what a wonderful being, and you're the best of the best. And we're so proud of you, and we're here. We love you. And we thank you for this space today to be able to relay this information.
Each day I make an exercise around what does my soul want to tell me, and each day I get around every day, no matter what, I get the message, you are so loved.
You are
So
so loved.
yeah, we love you. Yeah, that we love you. You are so loved. You're protected, and it's exactly what you said. So it's a nice. Sometimes I'm thinking that it's just my record player, but you gave me a very nice reminder that is true. We are so loved, and if we just take a moment to feel that love every day, we will change our day a little bit more to what our soul wants to be.
Absolutely. And the greater you take in that capacity of that love within self, it mirrors out the greater capacity to love others. You can't start loving others first. You have to start loving yourself and allowing that love inside of you.
Yeah. And is there a way we can have the capability of seeing more our timelines and the choice and the consequences of our choices, or that will make the game too easy?
You can set the intention to do that, but um and you can ask to show, like, if you feel you're at a decision place, you can close your eyes and ask to be shown. Do some breath work, really get centered in with self, like really, really just connected with all of your energies, and ask to be shown, if I make this choice, what's the outcome there, the probability. If I make this choice, what's the outcome, there. But mainly, like, they're saying that's not so much important at looking probabilities. It's more important for you to ask the question of what's in alignment with myself. Like, it's almost like you're wasting time looking at the
Mhm.
probabilities. Like, they're saying, like, it's more important for you to just connect with self more and to ask what's in alignment with self.
Yeah.
Because then those probabilities, you get lost in the details and you're like spinning your wheels on something that never even happens.
Yeah. It's very clear now. And